Lord is about to bring you into a good land. Make sure you don't forget God, your God.
Welcome again to Teaching Through the Bible. Today we're going to wrap up the section talking about this command that you shall not murder. And last time I mentioned this verse about an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. And here I'm just going to spend a little more time unpacking what that means. So we see that statement. Most people know that statement. Most people probably think of that as a negative kind of statement, something barbaric, something bad, something that is a way we shouldn't do things in modern civilized society, right? But let's look at this passage. I'm going to read it, and as I do, just be thinking of the context. Take notes of the context if you can. Chapter 19 of Deuteronomy, verse 15 down through verse 21. A single witness shall not suffice against a person for any crime or for any wrong in connection with any offense that he has committed. Only on the evidence of 2 witnesses or of 3 witnesses shall a charge be established. If a malicious witness arises to accuse a person of wrongdoing, so if someone is making stuff up basically, then both parties to the dispute shall appear before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges who are in the office in those days. The judges shall inquire diligently, and if the witness is a false witness and has accused his brother falsely, then you shall do to him as he had meant to do to his brother. And brother here, this doesn't necessarily mean like biological, you have the same parents. This is talking about other Israelites, those who are part of God's people. That's a generic term there. So you shall purge the evil from your midst, and the rest shall hear and fear, and shall never again commit any such evil among you. Your eye shall not pity. It shall be life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot. So, that was Deuteronomy 19, verses 15 through 21. And here we have this notion of an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth. And when people talk about it today, they talk about it in a negative light. I've heard the phrase, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And people say, yes, like this is a wise saying that, means kind of like we need to be more peaceable and less brutal and such. Well, there's another phrase that I'm familiar with that people tend to like more. That is about justice. And that phrase, think about, if you could think for a moment yourselves, what could this be? What are some phrases when you think about like justice and how we need justice in society? Think about that. What is a phrase? If you need to pause for a minute to think about it, consider phrases that we think of that kind of summarize justice. Well, one such phrase, one that comes to mind for me, is the punishment fitting the crime. So it means you shouldn't have something so excessive. You shouldn't have something that doesn't make sense, that's not tied with what the crime was. In America today, United States, you have, it seems like just about everything is a fine or jail time. It's, all right, are you going to have to pay money or are you going to have to sit in a cell? Those are like the 2 things. So now maybe paying money makes sense if you were stealing money. That'd be logical. Although, are you giving money to the person you stole to, or are you just giving a fine to the government? But does it really make sense to have everything just kind of have this 1 or 2 sizes fits all solution? Right? The punishment should fit the crime. This phrase is used if maybe you have some small petty crime and then you have to give you have like a $2,000 fine, and people are like, that's a lot of money, or a $20,000 fine, or whatever it may be. And you say that doesn't fit the crime. The crime is very small. The punishment is very big, right? Well, here's the thing. This is baking soda. This is Arm & Hammer brand baking soda. This is baking soda. This is Kroger brand baking soda. 1 pound, or 16 ounces, or 453 grams. They weigh the same. Same amount in there. If you go and you look at the ingredients, this one is sodium bicarbonate. And this one, sodium bicarbonate. The exact same thing. What is the difference? Well, this one has different packaging than this one. It's a different branding. This Kroger's the off-brand kind, right? Arm & Hammer, that's one that people, oh yeah, this is the good brand, right? This is an on-brand, right? So that's the difference. But guess what? The other difference is this costs a lot more. This is more expensive than this is. But they're the same thing, and they're the same amount of the same thing. You're paying for the brand. It's the difference. People look more favorably upon something that's a certain brand than that's another brand. And they're willing to pay more for that because of the brand. They like one brand and don't like another, even though they're the same. Well, guess what? These two phrases we've talked about, it's the same situation. We could call this an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. We could call this punishment fits the crime. But guess what? They're the same thing. They're both talking about justice, and they're both saying the same thing about it. It's just the branding. That's the only difference, really. So here, if we're looking at the context, so eye for eye, tooth for tooth. First of all, it's saying that the punishment should fit the crime, right? Eye for an eye, not, well, he stole my sheep, so now he gets the death penalty, No, if he steals your sheep, he should have to pay you back sheep, right? Here, with someone that's a lying witness, maybe he's lying because he wants to get, 5 sheep from this guy. Well, instead he's going to have to give 5 sheep to the guy, right? It says, and this is part of the context for eye, tooth for tooth, he says, earlier on, in the same passage I just read, that after the judge determines, then you shall do to him as he had meant to do to his brother. So eye for eye, tooth for tooth. That's where that comes in. So he lied in order to get this guy punished in a certain way. So now he instead will get punished in that certain way. So, and that means if he was lying to try to get this guy the death penalty, he gets the death penalty instead of the other guy. So the eye for eye doesn't actually even mean this guy lost an eye and now you will lose an eye. That's not necessarily, now that would apply perhaps in that same way, but it's not just talking about that. It's saying if you intended to do something that would remove his eye, your eye would be removed instead. That kind of an idea. This is probably not ever a situation that literally happened, but that's the analogy, right? You were trying to get 5 sheep from him. You're going to actually have to give 5 sheep to him. It's not that they both got this happening to them. He was trying to make it happen to the other guy. Instead, it happens to him. Okay, so that context shows you a little different for what eye for eye really means, what tooth for tooth really means. You're getting the punishment in place of him getting the punishment, not you're both getting the punishment. And also notice, you may have gone right by you, but if you're paying attention, maybe you noticed, it talks about the judges. The judges will determine this. This is not some, this eye for eye, tooth for tooth is not some license to become Batman. It doesn't mean, all right, well, that person punched me, so I get to punch him. No, the judge determines. This is an official office that is making the call here, that's determining this. This isn't just freelance. Everyone does their own thing. So that's something else to notice. It also, just like punishment fitting the crime, it means you can't go beyond that, right? Like I said earlier, someone stole your sheep, or if you lied about someone because you're trying to get him to have to give you his sheep, the punishment can't be the death penalty. You can't escalate. Eye for eye, not eye for your whole life, right? It's got to be equal. It's got to be the same. It's got to be on a level playing field. You can't escalate, right? So that's more context that we see here that's really important in understanding what this actually means. This is not something that's saying, oh, you can go back and get vengeance. People treat it like it's, oh, let's go get vengeance. Everyone can go get vengeance. Well, no, you got to bring the judge into it. Well, actually, that means you can't go beyond and escalate. Because vengeance is, come on, how often does vengeance not escalate? Right? Oh, he did this to me, I'm going to do even worse to him. Right? But you can't do that if it's just eye for eye. It has to be equal. And of course, that's really helps for a judge to be there to show, to be impartial. Because what are the chances you're going to be impartial in this? Whatever this case is. So, eye for eye is to be impartial, is to be just, it's punishment fitting the crime. It's just a different brand. Just different branding. It's the same thing, though. So, that's what it's talking about. It's talking about punishment fitting the crime. An eye for an eye doesn't make the whole world blind. An eye for an eye makes the world a more just and equitable society and keeps people from doing more evil, if for no other reason than the fact that they know that there will be a judgment coming if they do that evil. So that's all for this passage, for an eye for an eye. Next time we're going to continue talking about the 10 words. This next time it's going to be about not committing adultery and how that ties in with the verse about wearing clothing with mixed fabrics. Thank you for watching that video. I hope that it helped you learn a little bit more about the Bible today. And if you'd like to continue to learn more about the Bible, then we have plenty of other videos on the channel. And if this has been helpful for you, then you can always let me know by subscribing to the channel. And hopefully I'll be able to continue to help you learn even more about God's Word. Thanks.